I will let it be known that my mic stand has been sold to nobody. Okay? It's been sold to nobody for $0 because I own it. Troper, you stop now. As much as I appreciate your undying support, I swear to God. I swear to God, Troper. Ontario, I see you are here as well. We're going to go ahead and post the order for tonight's deck roasting, and then I'm going to pull up the Google document, and then I'm going to eat my stew. And after I eat my stew, we will get into the deck roasting. What's up, Aiden? What's up, oh hell yes? Benicitrix and just some guy. What's happening, everybody? It's been over a week now since I streamed. I think the last stream was last Monday because Z and I went to Vegas for MagicCon Vegas, and it was a tremendous fucking time. Troper, thank you for that tier 1 Twitch sub. Welcome to the dog home, my friend, for the 9th month in a row. I'm not giving you the chair or the mic stand. Greetings, Mauled. You saved me from bad content. 2024, I'm so glad you jumped into my stream from one of my videos. I'm glad I could save you. Mauled, it's been too long. What do you stream again? I forgore. I stream me saying all varieties of obscenities, unpleasantries, and various mean things to people who send me commander decks. What's up, Shade? Mauled, is Blasphemous Edict going to be the next EDH staple for black? No, because nothing will ever unseat Ripples of Undeath. Just real quick. If you're ever wondering about next black staple, nothing is ever unseating this bullshit. Gin-soaked boy, thank you for the prime sub. Welcome to the dog home, my friend. I appreciate those Bezos bucks very much. Alright, let's grab this order, which is going to go into both chats. Shade, I'm doing really well. I'm a little tired because I basically haven't eaten today. But thanks to all of you, I am very close to putting in my notice at my day job. I'm in charge of a couple different projects, and so I'm trying to set up some infrastructure. I'm trying to set up some infrastructure so that everything doesn't totally fall apart once I leave. But that shouldn't take too long to do. I'm really just setting up some like flex tape for after I'm out the door. Okay. So B-Levy, when you type it phonetically like that, it sounds like B-Levy to me. Do you mean believe? Because if you want me to say it believe, that is how I would hook it on phonics. Shamathon, thank you for the prime sub, my friend. I appreciate the Bezos bucks. Welcome to the dog home. And Senko Floof, thank you for 5 gifted subs. Welcome to dog heaven, my friend. Have you had any water today? If by water you mean half a liter of Sprite cranberry, absolutely yes, I've been having my water today. That's not sponsored. It's just that good. The weirdest one, thank you for the tier 1 Twitch sub. Welcome to the dog home, my friend. And Minardan, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the dog house. Believe. Okay, believe with your initials. All right. Hydrate, you dumbass. Don't be rude to me. If you're rude to me, I just won't drink water about it. There's probably water content in this stew. So what was the Blasphemous Edict? I'm presuming this is a new thing from Foundations. Get out of here. Oh, that's horrifying. This is... I mean, this is fucked just because the hard cast is barely anything. even hard casting this, pay 5? Even in mono black, because all the mono black players just cheat at counting. The other mono colors can sometimes struggle to ramp, but mono black just says, oh, I play Cabal Coffers, I play Dark Ritual, die. Christmas666, thank you for the 1-bit cheer. Welcome to Dog Heaven, my friend. And Jomi Bug, we have a personal question from you. Hit me with it. While I eat this stew. What's your opinion on stacks that doesn't affect the controller? I got heat Sunday for playing Storage Matrix in Maria Scholar of Antiquity. Well, first, let me look up just how bad it was. Okay, so I'm presuming with Maria, you only untapped your artifacts. You only untapped your artifacts for mana, and just let it rock. This is exactly how stacks should be played. I think there's a lot of argument to be had about the appropriate power level of the table that needs stacks. I am a big believer that at casual tables, stacks is generally not welcome because the rule 0 conversation acts as a universal stacks piece. I've elaborated on this a few times, but I think if you, before the game starts, tell each other, oh, we're not doing infinites, we're not doing 2-card win the game combos, we're not doing this fast mana stuff, we're not doing this tutor stuff. Those are all stacks emblems. They might not be cards, they might not be a player playing them for you to target, but all of those things you say in your Rule 0 conversation, those are stacks pieces. So that said, whenever you do play stacks, you're not an asshole for breaking parity. In fact, you are an asshole for failing to break parity. If you are going to put a bike lock on the Baskin Robbins, you better have a key to the front door or you better be breaking in a window. Like, you can't... It's no fun to smother the table collectively. If smothering a baby is your desired way to win at Commander, you need to do it in such a way that you aren't smothered at the same time. So in that context, Storage Matrix is actually one of the most based stacks pieces you can pick because you are breaking parity really, really well. I can't tell you whether or not your table was appropriate for that. Also, Wildman, thank you for the raid, my friend. How was your stream tonight? We are in fact talking about Magic the Gathering Commander. Someone asked my opinion on them playing this card in Maria, which allows them to tap artifacts for mana. So this is fucked up, but at tables where the expectation is that we're all going to do a bunch of fucked up stuff, this is exactly how you should do it. Because if you do stacks that... If you play stacks that affects everyone equally, all you've really said is, hey, can I spend 5 mana to make sure this game takes 6 more turns? And then you get beaten to death with hammers, rightfully. But if you use stacks to say, okay, my deck's really good at this one thing, I'm going to use the stacks piece to make sure that me doing my one thing wins, and because you guys can't do it, you lose. That's just good gameplay. Now, a lot of tables, again, if you're at a casual table, you don't need stacks. You already have stacks. Talking about Rule 0 and making sure that your decks were casual appropriate, that is the stacks. Any stacks you put in on top of that should be pretty measured. There's some things, I always think non-basic land hate is a little bit funny. I don't think the 5-color players get nearly enough grief in the game or in their lives generally. So I'm always with it if you hate on non-basic lands. But past that, I think you got to be real careful about what stacks you're putting in. Sup, Maul? How was Vegas? Vegas was hot as hell. I think in the future, Z and I are going to try to be working less at these conventions, money allowing. because we did lose a lot of the weekend to doing a lot of media stuff, but it was super fun. Got to see a lot of our friends. I mean, these conventions really are summer camp for adults. If you've ever thought about going to a convention and you're worried about what the vibe is going to be like, adult summer camp for Magic the Gathering is the vibe, because everyone's having a pretty good time playing during the day. Everyone hangs out at like hotel after parties after the convention closes every day. You get to trade cards, you get to laugh with your friends. A lot of people get drunk together. Not me, because I'm sober now, but I watch a lot of people get drunk now. Tighten my fucking fist. But it's a really, really good time, and I would really recommend it. Obviously, finances allowing, because they're expensive things to go do. Right? It's easier for Z and I, because Z and I have the blessed opportunity, even if I don't believe in God, blessed opportunity to work at these conventions. And so we can either make that money back or sometimes profit if we get a really good contract. Where did you stay? I'm going to Vegas in January to play some poker and gamble, staying at Caesar's Palace. We stayed at Treasure Island. I don't know if they got directed to stay there as a result of their contract or not, but that's where we stayed. Also, Shady Shroomy, thank you for the 8 months in a row at Tier 1. Gooberton indeed, my friend. Welcome back to the dog home. And Huga, thank you for the 8 months of that Prime sub. I appreciate those Bezos bucks. And Strawberry Poppy, thank you for continuing that gifted sub that was given to you to a Tier 1 sub. Welcome back to the dog home. Yeah, Britt, like they are very expensive, much like an adult summer camp. They are by no means something where it is a necessity that you drop thousands of dollars to experience this once in your life. But like, if you plan ahead, you get some good flights off like Frontier Airlines or some shit, who should have given me a commission code, but probably not, because I would tell everyone they suck. But if you plan ahead, you get some cheap flights, you get a hotel that maybe you split with some friends, and you are very judicious about whether or not you'll need to Uber around, you can bring it down. But it's not something where I would advocate, like, yeah, whatever, just blow a shit ton of money and see how it goes. Did I get to play your Cruel Claw deck at all? Huga, I unfortunately did not. There was some last minute bag misarrangements, and I only brought my Henzi deck, which went 0 and 11 over the weekend. So I am going to be making that much meaner. The world has caught up to the evils of my current Henzi deck, and I will be dismantling you all about it. Yeah, 0-11, Law of Averages, I'm about to bust out. Law of Averages, I'm about to pop the fuck off with this deck. Jay Broski3313, thank you for the Twitch follow. Welcome to the doghouse, my friend. And Maverick698, thank you for the follow as well. Welcome to the doghouse. Datey96, thank you as well. Welcome to the doghouse, all of you, my friends. Without further ado, let's talk about roasting some commander decks. So these decks are sent in. I missed everything on YouTube for the last 10 minutes. I am so sorry, guys. Donaldo, nice to meet you. Yes, I am a lot taller than people think. I am 6'4". And so whoever's seen my content, if you think about how tall I am a little bit Slenderman-y compared to what you believe. So Jaden Lingerfeld, thank you so much for the $20 super chat. That is so generous. Where would you draw the line between stacks and interaction like graveyard hate? Obviously, it's not a clear line, but I'm curious on your perspective. I think that it's an indirect relationship with how effective the game action you're stopping is at winning the game. And so what I mean by that is, let's say you have a card like Unlicensed Hearse, and you use this to selectively exile a Valgavoth that the Sephiroth player is trying to reanimate. If they're allowed to do that, shit is about to get crazy. If they're allowed to reanimate whatever they want, shit is about to get wicked. Now, if you play something like Leyline of the Void, you also stop them from reanimating Valgavoth, and you also stop them from their deck ever functioning in the first place. And so one line you can draw is it a blanket effect, or is it an effect I have to activate? Effects you have to activate are normally more allowable than things that aren't blanket effects. Blanket effects are generally much more oppressive. You can never really mess up using them. And I think the line would be, at your table, at what point are you no longer trying to win the game? Because if you look at the CEDH level, even the Stax decks they're always trying to win the game. They're just trying to set up a combo that gets out from around their own Stax pieces. And so I think the line between Stax, derogatory, and interaction is, are you still trying to win, or are you trying to not lose, or trying to stop everybody else from winning more than you're trying to make yourself win? Oh, Troper, you brought Era's Toast to the stream. Thank you very much. Dark, I think Z is like 5'8" or something. Everybody under 6 foot is like... Yeah, Talamar echoes 5'8", so I believe that. We had a very funny moment. They were filming something today, and they did a camera angle that got them like down here, and they were looking at it on the phone, and they were like, "Oh, this is so funny," and they did a fake little like uppies bit to have me look at the phone and see how silly it was to see them doing uppies. And I didn't laugh because the phone was level with my eye line, and I was just like, "What, do you want uppies?" And they took it well. That's all I'll say. They took that well. Everyone under 6 foot has the gnome pass. That's horrific. Okay. Now, no further ado, let's talk about the deck roasting. So my patrons send in a power level, a primer, and of course a deck list. The power level we accept is Silly, Spooky, and Scary, originally stolen from DannyPhantom.exe and co-opted for our purposes. These power levels refer to how ominous your turns are, how afraid of you are everyone else at the table, based on what you're spending each turn playing. Scary is everything you play is an obvious threat or is obviously going to combo off. Spooky is like, maybe it's kind of a fringe combo, or you know the synergies are gonna get bad, but you don't super know how. And then Silly is, you are building a cartoon hammer. You are building Power Rangers, Voltron bullshit, and if people let you do it, they deserve to die. And so first off, we have Believe. With a deck that is spooky, the primer is Oops all creatures plus 1 enchantment. They do want upgrades. Okay, gang. Karametra's Bountiful Zoo. I wanted to build a dumb deck with a restriction. Don't want to spoil the surprise of it here. Would love to hear your opinions on this. All right, 65, 4, 4, 34. Let's, hey, I'll let you cook. I'm gonna call the police to take your stove away. I'm gonna call the police. I swear to God, this is the gimmick. So whenever they cast a spell, you reveal the top card. If it's a creature, put it on the battlefield. Otherwise, you may put that card on the bottom of your library. How did you make Rhystic Study worse? That's what I want to know. I mean, obviously it's green-white, so I knew it was going to be worse, but I can't believe you've made a deck that is, what if Rhystic Study was more white noise? Oh, god damn it. Hold on. The microphone is still saying it's good on my end. I'm going to turn it down a little bit because I was peaking a little bit. Okay. Everybody continue complaining if you have any audio issues. But anyway, the fact, like, this is green Rhystic Study. You can't pay for it. Still there? Okay, hold on. All right, we tried replugging it. Did replugging it help? All right, sick. Thank you, Glup Shitto. Thank you, Glup Shitto, for the immediate reaction. All right. Yeah, this is worst Rhystic Study. It's not do you pay the one, it's do you play the game? If so, die. This is why green is worse. I'm just going to say right now, this is why green is worse. Because the thing is, in the context of this deck, let's look at this. Oh my god, this is certainly a pile of Magic the Gathering cards. In the context, holy fuck. This is another 2 decks in a trench coat. This is I have Rhystic Study but worse. And if I draw it or don't, my deck is either a pile of trash or it's a pile of trash attached to a baseball pitching machine that shoots at 100 miles a fucking hour. Your utility does appear to look a little bit like putting a bike lock on the Baskin Robbins. I do like Eladamri, despite being a gigantic piece of shit, does at least make sense because basically everything is a creature, and so he gives top deck access. I think it's supremely funny that you've built in a way to potentially skip the only enchantment that turns your entire deck on. Hi, Maud. Little question. Do you restock the $25 Patreon at some time, or do I have to go to the $51 for a roasting? So the way the roasting works right now is it's capped every month at 48 entries a month. The entries are open to the $25 tier and the $50 tier. I put a limit on the $25 tier to prevent people from overspending money if they couldn't get the value, if they weren't going to be guaranteed a roast. Personally, I would not recommend buying the $50 tier in the hopes that it will get you a roast. If you want to support me financially and you have the spare 50, please do go ahead. I will appreciate it very much. That support is what's making it possible for me to go full time in this, but it cannot guarantee you a roast, and I will feel bad if you spend $50 hoping for a roast that's priced at $25 and you're still not able to get it because it's first come, first serve. There is going to be a more expensive option for a like constructed format roasting that's going to be coming out in maybe a month or two that I'm working on with my producer later this month. So that's not going to be streamed. It's going to be filmed ahead of time. It's going to cost more, but it's going to be a lot more like special. The jokes are all going to be scripted. There's going to be merchandise involved with it. And so if there's one deck in your life that you really want to roast for and you would like to give me money about it, I would hold your money for that. If you just have enough excess income that you want to be a patron of the arts, please do sign up for the $50 tier. Try your luck every month. This month and last month, the 48 slots for a deck roast filled up in about 24 hours. I think we get about halfway to 3/4 full in the first hour or two, and then over the rest of that first day, all the other slots get filled up. And so those announcements go off on Patreon. If you're a tier 3 sub, will let you suck his toes. I told you that in confidence, introspective trash. I told you that in confidence. Is it bad I like Simic? Yes. No qualifications. Normally I'm kind. We'll fix you, maybe. If we can't, watch out. Sorry, I didn't realize that was a personal transaction. Xander Ang, thank you for the Twitch follow. Welcome to the Doghouse, my friend. And Nightmare ZXA, thank you as well. All right, so let's get back to this deck. So we have some life gain. Our utility appears mostly to be, there's a little bit of card selection, and there's a lot of, please God, don't hit me. Oh God, oh fuck, if you hit me, I will throw up. I will throw up so hard, right? Archangel of Tithes, Baird. Cataclysmic Gearhulk is kind of like that because it just kills everything. And then we have Miri as well. Platinum Empyreon. Sunblast Angel. Like we have a ton of stuff that says, oh God, please don't hit me. We have 10 Big Stompy, which truly I think, woof. What? Okay, what power level? Spooky. I don't believe in most of these cards unless they are played specifically with Lurking Predators. I'm gonna go back to what I said about this being a deck that this is a deck that is either a pile of trash or a pile of trash connected to a baseball pitching machine, because most of your big stompy things that are presumably meant to be killing everybody you know and love and punishing them for their insolence. This is, in an average game, maybe this is a 15-15. Because you've got Karametra, and so when you're casting your big stuff, you're also ramping. Maybe this is a 15-15. 0 trample. Crash of Rhino Beetles. 15-15 trample. That's better. But a Chroma, like, this is a Twitter bookmark. This is not a creature that is going to hold it down in the late game. This is holding you down late at night as the bed rocks gently. And that's your business. That's not my business. But in 2024, this is not Big Stompy, me when I kill you. Galta and Maverin I could believe in. Stampede Tyrant for sure. Majestic Miriarch for sure. Again with the lands thing, and maybe Trample I think saves this. Trample I think saves this one. Alphabet Soup Dinosaur, I just think he's funny. And then Regal Bunnicorn, I question. Unless your table thinks board wipes are like racist or something. But to me, this deck looks like it gets hard stopped by a Blasphemous Act. Anybody casts Blasphemous Act, that is a true combo with you shitting your pants. You probably have the Avacyn that makes your stuff indestructible, yeah? Right? Okay, hold on. We have the Avacyn. Yeah, we do. Okay, we have it. Sorfalo, thank you for the Twitch follow. Welcome to the Doghouse, my friends. And then we also don't have a tremendous amount of ramp. We're really lacking on creatures that do a lot. I don't think you have enough I don't think you have a high enough keyword density for Odric, Lunarch, Marshall to be that good. Titan of Industry, like, sure, good ETB trigger. Sunblast Angel, decent ETB trigger. I think Seedborn Muse is like kind of jokester behavior. This might be the the worst individual usage of a Seedborn Muse I have ever seen in terms of overall impact, because you're never really tapping for anything. You don't have you have one flash enabler in the entire deck. Redouble, thank you for the Twitch follow. Welcome to the doghouse, my friend. Flare of Cultivation could be good. I think the restriction we're working with is everything has to be a creature. And so if we look at creatures, let's look at what you can do. We need this to be less of a... Number one... Editor time. What this deck needs, number one, is to not revolve around Rhystic Study but green. Because we do not have any tutors. We do not have meaningful amounts of card draw. We have a couple incredibly aspirational versions of card draw. And we need to get away from the deck being a pile of trash that is sometimes thrown at you at 100 miles an hour. And so to do that, we want the lower curve stuff to matter more and get us into our game plan quicker. And so I'm just going to look at 3-drops and below. You probably want Mana Dorks. I'm gonna recommend something a little weird. I'm gonna recommend that we just gut like 4 to 6. I think that you should have a very high density of 1 to 3, and I think that you should have a very high density of massive fuckos that I have ramped up to. And I think all this mid-game stuff, the only thing we really care about at these mid levels is our commander and lurking predators, and then massive things that we want to cheat in with lurking predators. And I think that'll make it more exciting, because this is this looks like a slot machine where the most common outcome is it farts at you. You play lurking predators. We have 2 ways to tutor it, which isn't a lot. And then, okay, somebody goes lurking predators. You get Angel of Finality. Reanimator player is dead. They're pissing themselves. They're no longer having a good time. You still have no chance to win. You flip Archangel of Tithes. You tell everyone, please God, don't hit me. Maybe you get some attacks through, but it's still a 3/5. Archon of Valor's Reach. Bike Lock is now on the Baskin Robbins. Nobody's having fun. This doesn't really help you break parity either. Like as soon as Lurking Predators isn't on the field, this spell is bad for you. And so if you pick, or well, I guess you can negate it by just picking Instant Sorcery Planeswalker, but it's still like, it's not that useful. And so if we look at what are just like low cost stuff, this guy wouldn't be horrible. He at least draws, and Karametra with 7 but has a decent chance at this. Redouble, thank you for the tier 1 Twitch sub. Welcome to the dog home, my friend. Stormy Pro, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Welcome to Dog Heaven, my friend. I know this is off topic, but Wart, Boggart, Auntie, smash or pass? Please seek help. There is literally no chance. There is literally no chance in the world. I mean, somebody, you evidently are smashing, but not me. Tangerine also makes a good point. Believe that this could be an up the beanstalk deck as well. It would again break your gimmick of all creatures and 1 enchantment, but this is another enchantment that's very similar. We have Moonblessed Cleric in the deck already, Joe Salsa. But really what you want is you want a ton of mana dorks. I don't necessarily know that you want to be leaning into this like, oh god, please don't hit me, as much as you want to be leaning into I'm going to ramp, and then I am going to play an Eldrazi. I think that's where you would much rather be. This would be hot for you. Giving lurking predators, this is protection for lurking predators, is what this is right here. This says one and a white, don't let lurking predators die, and therefore keep my deck playing the game. There's Destiny Spinner in already. Maybe. I think this is a big maybe. I think that's a big maybe. What about Beast Caller Savant? Yeah, this would be fine. Hypergenesis solves a lot of problems for him. I agree that it solves a ton of problems, but it also puts us in the spot of breaking what the theme is. And I'm a big believer in the power of the gimmick. If you have a gimmick that you like, I will, to the best of my abilities, adhere to that gimmick. Now, the problem is this gimmick is pretty tough. It's pretty bad, and we're going to do our best. So we're going to go to look at the top cards enchantment. We're going to see if there's anything we can do. That is not a lot. Oh boy, that is not a lot. This one's a maybe. It looks for lurking predators. This is the first crazy, yeah, this is in my Henzi deck. I think this would be really good for you. Your deck is going to be built around having a lot of good enter the battlefield effects, and Karametra really wants you to cast a lot of stuff to keep ramping. And so First Responder would let you build a board threat, would let you bounce a ton of your weaker creatures and replay them to then continue ramping and continue getting a ton of mana to cast your big things. Master of the Hunt. Don't do this. Don't listen to... Sometimes, just sometimes, the internet's wrong. The internet is stupid. It'll tell you to do harmful things to your own interests. Avacyn, I don't think we're going to do Elven Chorus because we're trying to stick to all creatures. This arena only? Yeah, arena only. Good. Fuck that guy. But I really do think that everything in this section is wasted. I think it should be massive amounts of things like Llanowar elves, like wood elves that grab you forests, anything in the 1 to 3 range with a good ETB. Get Karametra out, get ramping, and then you just play like just incredibly huge creatures over and over. You probably do want Monk Idealist. That's a good call out, Joe Salsa, because we want to be able to, if they kill Lurking Predators, we don't want to just have to like pick up our deck and go home, which is kind of where we're at right now. Is Heartwood in this deck already? Oh, it's not. Yeah, you should probably have Heartwood Storyteller. Just anything to draw some cards. Or even like, you know what would be really good if you lean into bouncing your own creatures? This is now a ramp spell and it draws you a card. You draw a card and you get a Forester Plains to field, which is hot as hell. Felix Royale, thank you for the tier 1 Twitch sub for 13 months in a row. Welcome back to the dog home, my friend. Month 11 of asking for another Hunt Showdown stream. Felix, you just gotta wait a few weeks. We're about to quit, my friend. Don't forget E-Witness and its big brother. Oh yeah, Believe, we should see, how do you feel about adventure creatures? Because then we might be able to, like Beanstalk Worm, that could be useful. Kind of. Icon Willie, thank you for the Twitch follow. Welcome to the doghouse, my friend. Like Bramble Familiar. Okay, then you need Bramble Familiar for sure. Because Bramble Familiar, at worst, re-triggers Karametra over and over and over. And then once you have a ton of mana, you can just hunt down lurking predators. I think Crystal Dragon for sure, because it's another way to recur this lurking predators that we've built the entire deck around. Alright, Troper. I see you. You could do Realm Cloak Giant, although that would probably blow you out too. Shepherd of the Flock. This would go hard as fuck, because no matter what, you could use it to redo a Karametra trigger. Fanatic of Ronas, also good just because it is a mana dork. But this is how I would rebuild it. Woodland Acolyte is also something you want. I would take everything that we have that has Coward in it. I would take everything that has a little bit of Punk inside it, and I would replace it with something that's either an adventure that we can use or a mana dork, something that we can bounce, something that will let us draw a card when we cast it. And then what that will allow you to do is actually get to the point quicker. And then I want to see you count above 10. I know you're a green player, so it's going to be a struggle, but I believe we can get past fingies. I think you can include your toes as well. So I would look for like the Eldrazi, if you like Eldrazi, maybe some of the bigger dragons, like Earthquake Dragon. That motherfucker could be in here. Anything massive. Anything with a big old schlong you can drop on the table. Maskeptic, thank you for the tier 1 Twitch sub. Welcome to the dog home, my friend. I appreciate that generosity. I think they have Beast Whisperer already. Oh God. Yeah, you flip this, I'm scooping out of sympathy. If you play Lurking Predators and you go, yeah, this deck is fucked up, I'm going to kill you because every spell you cast, I'm getting a guy, and you flip a 3 mana 2/2, I'm going to cry. I'm going to cry. I'm going to give you $5 for a play booster of Bloomburrow because it'll probably make the deck better. That's a pet card, LOL. All right. You can keep the pet card then. But I think the point remains for a large number of things in this deck. There's a lot of kind of like random fuck yous, and then a lot of your utility is not actually that useful. You are not lying in the sense that there is utility involved, but generally the point of your utility creatures is to shore up the things your deck can't do, and bolster 1 is not a thing your deck can't do. Your deck can play fatties. Your deck can already play fatties. You do not need to be slowly putting +1/+1 counters on. Out of curiosity, why isn't YouTube chat on the screen? Are we just second-class citizens to you? So that is part of that is part of Twitch's terms of service about multi-streaming. I'm live streaming to YouTube and Twitch at the same time, and Twitch has made it very clear that if I spend either more time responding to YouTube chat than I do Twitch chat, or if I show the chats in a mixed form, I will not be allowed to multi-stream. He's lying, YouTube chat. You are, in fact, lesser people than us. That's not true. YouTube is my single largest source of income. I'm not stepping on those toes. Most of the deck is what I had lying around, so definitely up for upgrades. I'll tell you, Believe, I trust you on that one. Moskeptic, thank you for the tier 1 Twitch sub and for gifting 5 community subs. Welcome to Dog Heaven, my friend. Take that, YouTube. Zyle Shade, thank you for the Twitch follow. Welcome to the Doghouse. Icon Willie, the decks are done via Patreon, and we're all booked up from the month, but next month's roasts should be opening up soon. We're going to keep it moving. Believe, thank you very much for the deck. In general, I would say look for 1 to 3 mana, and then look for 8+. And just try to get out Karametra, try to bounce your own shit. Look at all of these things. Look at the Scryfall language we were using. Ow, Deku, thank you for the Twitch follow. Welcome to the Doghouse, my friend. And Dungeon Masters Consortium, thank you for the tier 1 Twitch sub for the 3rd month in a row. Welcome to the Doghouse. And Crazy Goalie, thank you for the Prime sub. Welcome to the Dog Home, my friend. I appreciate those Bezos bucks. And now, it's going to be shoulda time. For those of you who aren't familiar with our boy, his name is short for should have gone to therapy. He first inflicted an oops all Tarkir block commander deck on me, and now they keep getting worse every time he sends me something. Johnny Lion Apex, thank you for the Twitch follow. Welcome to the Doghouse, my friend. The running joke in the playgroup is that shoulda is the arch enemy, and that I always win or come in second. Today, the Rock Lee training weights come off. Inspired by the Duskmourn Rakdos deck, this deck pokes, it slugs, and by God, it makes you sacrifice. The deck should have just been an invitation to a barbecue or Mario Party. Requiem, thank you for the 1,000-bit cheer, my friend. Welcome to Dog Heaven. Any chance to get my deck in later tonight? It depends on if you are one of the reschedules. It depends on if you're already signed up or let's see, you were supposed to go on the 19th. So did we reschedule you? Presumably. If you are still around at the end of the stream, yes, we'll get you going. Oh, do I not get the grid? Yeah, let's put Believe on the... I think it was just so... It was so obvious. This is where you go on the grid. Did I draw green Rhystic Study? It's mad okay. If I didn't draw green Rhystic Study, somebody cast Blasphemous Act, I shit my pants, and we all go home sad. Let's move on to Shoulda's deck now. Alright, 37 lands, pretty reasonable. Valgavoth, Harrower of Souls. So whenever an opponent loses life for the first time during each of their turns, put a +1/+1 counter on Valgavoth and draw a card. So for those of you who are not familiar, this card is crazy fucked up. 10th Doctor is the best. Whenever Sycorax ETBs, each opponent faces a villainous choice. They discard all the cards in their hand and draw that many cards -1, where Sycorax deals damage to that player equal to the number of cards in their hand. All right. Board wipes 2. Gaming chair. This is for when everybody jumps you. We get a second chance. Got it. General good creatures. That's certain. Hey, true statements. True statements that all of these are generally good. Bladewing, I believe, could work based on 33 in the deck. Graveyard shopping. This is all of our recursion. Hell's Kitchen. That's a good name for the lands. Death by Tiny Cuts. All right. Whenever creature enters, deal 1. Whenever a creature dies. Cast a creature spell. And your upkeep. Fate Unraveler. These two are good. Card draw. That one's okay. Oh, I do love Cardor. Oh, let's go back to the correct. Oh, this is my bad. This is supposed to be in the Mauled Attenborough voice. Altador, thank you for the tier 1 Twitch sub for the 5th month in a row. Sorry I'm late. I was losing at Warhammer to the person I was teaching to play. Hey, let me know where you put the body. I'll help you. Sweat, thank you for the Twitch follow. Welcome to the doghouse, my friend. All right. So let's embark on a lovely journey investigating what local idiot Shoulda has put together in this Rakdos deck. And beginning to look through the Death by Tiny Cut section, I am overwhelmed by a general feeling that this submitter is totally unable to read. Because the core thing about Valgavoth is that he wants to deal damage on our opponent's turns. And if we notice, Shoulda has included approximately 5 ways to deal damage on an opponent's turn, and the rest of them are just generally annoying ways to hurt people. Maybe it's supposed to be about the flavor, Donaldo asks. I would agree with that if the flavor is meant to be something like cucumber lime Gatorade or local dog shit. That I would believe. Draw 5 cards. I am convinced you did this to hurt me. I am deeply convinced you did this to hurt me on a personal level, although at least you've included the very best one in your colors. Everybody do the sack. Accursed Marauder, make everybody sacrifice for absolutely no benefit other than the general increase in the number of traumatic instances. Fuck, I really fucked that one up. We're gonna run that back for the editor. Accursed Marauder, when it enters the battlefield, each player sacrifices a non-token creature for absolutely no benefit to Shoulda other than the general increase of trauma in the world. Braids. We can make people sacrifice, we can potentially draw cards, and we can make them lose life on our turn, which again does not work with what Valgavoth wants to do. We also have Meat Hook Massacre number 2, which is also crazy. Oh, one of our first good cards in the entire deck, Mogus, something that deals damage on their upkeep, proving that maybe Shoulda could read, and in fact they just built this deck while blindingly drunk and grabbed Mogus in a fit of lucidity before succumbing back to whatever demons led them to put Plaguecrafter in the deck. Rush of Dread, another way to interact with our opponents at sorcery speed in the commander that only wants to do things on our opponent's turns. This will probably work at some point. Suffer. Lord of Pain, that's almost good. It was probably in the precon though. Target creature's owner shuffles it into their library, then faces a villainous choice. They lose 5 life, or they shuffle another creature they own into their library. And here we come upon quite possibly the most frustrating thing about Shura 51. Since we have discovered them in the jungles of western Montana, far beyond the reaches of literacy or God, they have occasionally shown a flash of brilliance. A flavorful card that's very helpful, like this is how it ends. Quite useful, quite possibly could trigger their commander, and then in the same deck, they almost petulantly include upwards of 40 other cards that explicitly do not work with what the commander does. Spotted Seal, thank you for the Twitch follow. Welcome to the doghouse, my friend. So the number one thing about this deck is that no matter what you do with Valgavoth, he is going to be group slug. He wants everybody to take damage on their turns, and I don't know why you were possessed of the idea that it was necessary to fill this with bad cards. So Shura, I need you to chime in on whether or not you do understand, in fact, that Valgavoth cares about things triggering on your opponent's turns. Because I can't help but notice we have a lot of things that trigger off of us playing creatures, and we don't happen to have a lot of token generation either. So this is very much, you are a villain, just not a super one. And we need to get you to super villain territory if you're going to be playing this in a pod where you allege the Rock Lee training weights are coming off. This looks a lot like the Rock Lee training weights have come off, but in a more real-world situation where the person who had been carrying all those weights around immediately collapses from having every bone and tendon in their body broken beyond repair. To be fair, Bladewing was the original commander. I'll keep it a stack with you, Shura. If we switched Bladewing and Valgavoth right now, the deck would make more sense. And so what I would really recommend doing is, if you want people... Rock Lee's never lost a fight in his life, Tangerine, and I'll remind you to not commit a thought crime in my Twitch chat lest I get you. So the number one thing we're going to do to make everybody angry is we want everything in the deck that says whenever somebody does a thing, they take damage. Even this would be usable. We hate Storm players. We hate people who Soul Ring into Arcane Signet. You did have Rolling Vortex, which is good. I have the syntax of what I'm looking for wrong. Because we want things like Mana Barbs. Whenever a player damage 2. Smiling Bandit 2, thank you for the Twitch Prime sub. Welcome to the dog home, my friend. Lightbringer, thank you so much for coming by the stream. See, like Aether Sting, this is useful. You draw maybe 3 cards a turn cycle. They do have the Cataract Parasite, but I think every card, well, not every card, but you should put in just so... Hey, yo. Oh, that's Golgari. My bad, everyone. But we want a ton of things that deals damage to people just because they happen to exist. I have supplies and a door lock, he says. See, here's the thing, shoulda. This wouldn't even make me want to kill you. This would make me want to buy you a lesson at the local library. This deck would not make me turn you into the archenemy. It would make me turn you into a math tutor. Or presumably a literacy tutor. If you popping off with Valgavoth is not going to make anyone try to kill you, it's going to make them try to enroll you in middle school. Hit them with the rug of smothering. There we go. Look at how good this is. Look at how tremendously good this card is. My beautiful, beautiful idiot. Look at how good this card is. Look at how good this card is. What about this card? And one of my favorites, even though this does not directly deal damage, it will deal psychic damage. I've had to play against it a few times, and every time it comes down the first turn, it's quite funny. Every turn after that, there is a growing feeling in the pit of my stomach that you could describe as gnawing, that I need to find where the person who's played this card lives and what their greatest fear is. And I think that is the type of energy you are trying to cultivate here, shoulda. Does the funny internet man even see this chat, MD Suitor? I do see this chat, and I do see what you did in the toilet earlier today. You've been a bad boy. Oh, War's Toll is in there. Good boy. It's in the sideboard. Spiteful Visions is playable. See, what is... I don't know about Retreat to Hagra. Pyrohemia would be very, very good. Pestilence would also be very, very good. Obnixilis, good. You kept all of the playable things in the sideboard, shoulda. Heartless Hitagetsu a bit too much. Heartless Hitagetsu doesn't even do what we want it to do, is the thing. Because Valgavoth most benefits from us making everybody lose life 1 to 2 at a time on their turns. Hitagetsu just domes everybody for a ton of damage, and then there's no further payoff, and you can only do it once a turn cycle. So Hitagetsu is not only a little mean, it's not even effective. And so shoulda, you're not making it out of the PSAT with this one, shoulda. What you've cooked here, this meal, this is not getting you past your high school AP exams. I'm sorry to say. Is O'Hare Ashenil too conditional for something like this? No, I think if this deck was built differently, that is to say correctly, you would have enough ping effects that O'Hare Ashenil would be a good pickup. So we're going to rename a category just for you. Just for you, shoulda. As always, you defy expectations and you defy categorization. And so we're going to give you the one, the only, how the fuck did you downgrade a precon? Donaldo Pedro, thank you for gifting 5 memberships to the dog home. Welcome to dog heaven, my friend. But overall, shoulda, that's what I would do. I think the deck attempts to be hateful, but the thing is, in 2024, Magic the Gathering has advanced enough that you need concentrated hate. Valgavoth specifically wants to run an extortion scam. He wants to steal from the local blood drive. All you're doing is trying to generically shove nerds into lockers and hoping that their lunch money falls out in the process. Behold, the first Category 0 deck of Wizard's new bracket system. True. We're going to move on to Dragon Cat's Spooky deck. You get your cheap you get both of your commanders down, then swing at them with cheap, roided up creatures that enter with 2 or more counters. All right. I'm going to hit some stew bites real quick. ASMR time. I desperately want to build a Storm Force of Nature deck based around hitting Dance with Calamity on a storm count of like 6 with all 1 to 4 cost cards. What do you think? I think that takes 1,000,000 mana. So I think you need a ton of ramp. But I would laugh. What kind of stew you eating? It is sirloin steak, red kidney beans, hominy, and then some butternut squash. A big burden. Thank you for the Twitch follow. Welcome to the doghouse, my friend. Let's move on to Dragon Cat's deck. Lathiel Cooks. So Lathiel, if 1 or more counters would go onto a creature or planeswalker you control or yourself, you put that many +1 on. And then you also get a background, which is commander creatures you own, have they enter the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on, and other creatures enter the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on. So Lathiel turns that into 2, and that's it. Let's see what else we got here. The soup. Okay, put a counter on everything. Put a counter on 2 things. Warriors, damn, they've risen, but warriors get an extra 1/1 counter. A 1/5. A limited playable strategy. Okay, this is some card draw. A 3/3 with haste. So we can level this up quickly at least. This is cute at least. We're so back with this one's cute. We only have to spend for 4 mana. We can get a 6/6 or so 4 and a green. We get a 6/6 with potential with protection from everything. Reluctant Role Model's pretty good. This is very okay. Okay, double hexproof counters. Too many chefs. So this is +1/+1 counter modifier, 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 and then communal brewing, which is better than our commander because this makes everything enter with 4. It's literally twice as good as our commander. Then we have some combat tricks. We have card advantage. Sleuth is okay. Investigating and everything's going to be entering with counters on it, so we will get the clues. Oh, Phineas. Put a +1/+1 counter on each other creature you control that's a token or a rabbit. Alright, so real quick, let's do a racism check. We're looking for rabbits. It is just Phineas. I do not know if I believe in that. How many tokens are we making? Let's look at that. Flood the board. All right. Animation module. That works. This is okay. This is okay. I mean, saying Phineas still draws is true if we have power 10 or greater, but that falls back into the realm of conditional card draw, which I do not look tremendously fondly upon. I do like Tawashi Guidebot because this is both unconditional, we get to do it, and the condition gets better and better. So we get to do it even if our game plan isn't working, and it works better and better the better our game plan is working. Whereas if our game plan isn't working, Phineas never does anything. If we haven't been able to resolve Lathiel, or if we haven't been able to make a bunch of tokens, Phineas is just a fucking blank tutu. Whereas Tawashi Guidebot at least always says draw a card for 4 mana, which is a bad rate but does something. And if the game plan is working, it's like just tap it, draw a card, which is great. Catering services. Okay, we move counters around a little bit. But back to flooding the board. Whenever we gain life, put a 1/1 counter on. Are we really... I don't know about how much life we're gaining. Legion's Landing. Have you been in a flood, Dragon Cat? I'm from Florida, so I've seen some hurricanes. Do you know what flooding looks like? Is my first question when I look at things like Legion's Landing. Blooming Dawn is definitely a win more card. This is 8 mana to pop off if the game plan's already going. Omaris works. And Twitching Doll's okay because it's also ramp. The overarching image I'm getting of this deck is a very skinny 16-year-old who thinks that if they start taking steroids, they will become the next Chris Bumstead. Because a lot of the individual cards in here are not doing a whole lot. And a lot of them that intend to do a whole lot need like 5 different synergies to stack together to really matter. Because even if we have our commander out, which letting a counter-stacking commander live is a tall ask, and we play like Ginger Brute, we got a 3/3 for 1, which we did break parity. We did cheat at Magic a little bit. Unfortunately, the standard for what successfully cheating at Magic looks like in 2024 is so high that this is another like bracket 0 deck IMO. I'm going to go to the playtest to double check. But my initial thinking is that your card draw is all so expensive or so conditional that I don't think you really get a lot going, and I don't see a very convincing way for you to win the game either. All right, we've got mad playables. So we gotta win. I'm gonna help. We're gonna ramp first. We're gonna get Master Chef out. Turn 4, we're gonna get Lathiel out, and we also get. Let's see. So we would have tapped 3 for Lathiel. So if we're gonna dump 2. Let's get Reluctant Role Model out first. they come on with 2 counters. We get Razorverge Thicket tapped. So we play this, we play this. If we tap these 3, so they enter with 2 counters. If we tap these 3, we put 2 more counters on. So now it's flying and vigilant, and we get to scry 1. I think we want Dust Animus. Yeah, so Lae'zel's a 5/5. This is a 5/6. This is a 2/6. I think we plot this guy, and then we drop the Hierophant, and then we tap the role model again. We tap these 3 down, put 2 counters on, scry 1. And then we just hit for this. We hit with this for like infinity, and this is the only... But this is really the only thing that's going that well, because we don't have any other way to build advantage, and this is only working out in a world where nobody responds to any of the other shit that we do. And so this thing is like flying, lifelink. It's probably a 6/6. And so what we end up with is, so we play Dust Animus. It gets 4 +1/+1 counters on it. Has lifelink, which is important. Then we play Resourceful Defense. And so we swing with the others, don't use the Warden. Are you telling me, like, that then I can't roast the deck, I have to roast your table? If you're telling me on turns 5 and 6, I can go, okay, my 5/5, my 4/4, and my 3/3 and my 2/6 are all going to crash out, and that's going to work, I'm going to have to report you to Child Protective Services, because all I can believe is that you are beating the fuck out of children. Zach Dressing, thank you for the Twitch follow. Welcome to the doghouse, my friend. Like, the reason I'm using the Warden of the Inner Sky ability is because scrying is important, because we're basically out of cards in hand. And at every table I played, like every table I played at this weekend in MagicCon Vegas, I was using a Henzi deck, which wants to swing every turn. I have a pretty decent internal clock for what you are allowed to swing with on given turns of a Commander game. And there is not a table I was at where I could have gone, all right, gang, turn 6, catch this fucking 2/6. Like, I could have swung it and gotten it bounced off something. But like the 3/3 as well, and the 5/5 probably gets killed. Crashing Drawbridge is a wall and gives haste. And I am inside a room and a camera is on. These are true things about it, and none of those things about it are as valuable as making this thing bigger so that we have something we can swing with. Like, we have 3 creatures that matter. As soon as this guy is flying and has lifelink, he matters. Dust Animus matters because it has lifelink and is flying. But anything that isn't flying, card's blank. Card is straight up blank. And if we get Blasphemous acted, like, what happens if we get board wiped? Let's just do a quick little... So we get to make 3 1/1s. And then we can put, let's say we have like a billion counters on this. We died. Awesome. Yeah. And so I would say this is more of a silly deck, but this is definitely, you have way too much faith in the power of a 1/1 counter. A 1/1 counter is really good if we can continue to build them, like on Warden of the Inner Sky. But like honestly, if we draw anything but Warden of the Inner Sky, I think we do basically nothing the entire game. Because we get Reluctant Role Model, and he could come in as a 4/4, but if we can only tap him by swinging, this motherfucker is getting killed. He's just getting straight murdered, and then nothing else on our board really matters. Someone suggesting Lulu. So you're thinking about Arena Lulu, which is a bullshit cheater card that we cannot recommend in good faith to anybody. And I also have to say that the other energy I'm getting from this deck is the title is Lathiel Cooks. That title only applies to the commander. It only applies to the command zone. The rest of the deck has almost nothing to do about Lathiel cooking and has everything to do with +1/+1 counter word cloud. So I would love it if this had a more dedicated theme than just it said +1/+1 counter and I had it, because that is very much what I'm getting from this deck at present moment. A lot of stuff has to go right, and it seems like the deck really earnestly believes that everything is going to go right simply because they're using +1/+1 counters. But we're in Selesnya. We are in Selesnya playing on curve to get a commander out with some extra counters, to get, like, we probably have to mill here just to get something to do. And hey, look at that, we get a forest to hand. And hey, look at that, we can get Botanical Brawler. And then again, this this guy will be okay because we can continually grow him, but we have a ton of things that we can't continually grow that just, where we just slowly but surely start farting. And then if anything gets removed, we are totally cooked. And so what I would recommend is straight up, as not a doctor, I would recommend that you just get some Lord of the Rings packs and rebuild a significant portion of the deck around food tokens. Because this deck looks like it folds to any meaningful interaction. A lot of pieces in the deck don't talk to each other that much, and they could talk to each other, and you could deepen the Lathiel Cooks theme by having some motherfucking hobbits up in here and having some of the food token synergies associated with hobbits up in here. Yeah, this deck is a 16-year-old trying to dirty bulk. It's getting bigger, but it has no idea what it's actually trying to do, and it's likely to hurt itself on the way there. Rosie cooks for sure. There's also... Look at that. Look at that. That's either card draw or it plays into all of our +1/+1 counter synergies. And so no matter what happens, this pays off for us as long as we cast a creature. What's up, Yaga? Also, Fat Man Jenkins, thank you. Just want to say I got a chance to meet you at MagicCon. You were super cool, and thankfully your roasting ability was on cooldown. Otherwise, I would have been cooked. Hopefully, we can get a game next year. I hope as well, my friend. I will try building the food one. I wish you luck with that. I think there's a lot of good stuff you can have, and I think you have a lot of almost good stuff in here, but it feels very, very word cloudy. It feels very, hey, this stuff sure does say counter on it. Stick, yes, the world tree is always card draw if the commander's out, but importantly, if the commander's not out, we're getting +1/+1 counters on stuff, which we can hopefully capitalize after this deck is rebuilt around hobbits and their big suckable toes. Cut that. Is Okenek a How in there? I don't think so, but I do think that's a little bit of a win more card. We do have Dusk Legion Duelist, which is good. So Dragon Cat, thank you very much for submitting. We're going to move on to Hector's Scary deck. Want to be a threat to the whole pod with big creatures. I'm going to take 5 more bites of stew. We also have a random smasher pass from Little MX Doom. So let's check that out. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Please be merciful. Easy. We love a reasonably statted queen. Smasher pass, even with the carrot top hair? Dog, I'm a YouTuber. I can expense wigs. I can buy some wigs, and guess what? Write off. Job done. Winifred haircut. That is true. If I could not expense wig purchases, maybe not. Quadratic Time, thank you for the drink water redeem, and I hope you did understand that by saying drink water, we were going to drink Sprite Cranberry. All right, let's go to Hector's deck. This is back in the Mauled Attenborough voice. Welcome, one and all, to another episode of Show Me Your Deck, featuring Doran Tough, which I'm presuming is Doran the Siege Tower. Excellent. So, this is going to be another, let me guess, Kindred deck with, let me guess, a bunch of creatures with toughness greater than their power. And if we're going to take a great amount of risks, we're going to have some board wipes that care about power. Look at that. We're already off to the races. And if we're feeling especially frisky, we're going to have some card draw that's based around the size of somebody's ass, which I'm not going to dig into in today's political climate. We've got insurance in the form of other effects that will allow our creatures to swang thack, but first... 1 second, I'm burping up a bunch of Sprite Cranberry. Hold on, everybody. Ah! That's a little bit better. Recursion. This is incredibly responsible for an Abzan player. Return any number of permanents with different names from your graveyard to the battlefield. Okay. BBL recursion. Then we also have 6. What's our win con? Oh my god, it's Infect. So is that really a Doran deck at this point? Is that really a Doran deck when we said, okay, the trees are going to get you. I am the Lorax. I speak for the trees. Also, I put Anthrax on this knife. Ha! Smuggler's Surprise. I'm not sure how this could ever win you the game, but I guess the goal is to Tainted Strike a Ghoul Tree. Then we have some random tree folk. Okay, beginning of each combat, double the power and toughness of each creature you control until end of turn. Tower defense is great. This is something that was absolutely costed around toughness being less valuable than power. And these, yeah, Stone Skin, wonderful. You're very good at pumping the trees. Is that what you wanted to hear from me, Hector? You are incredibly good at pumping the trees until they're really big and juicy. McCready is quite clever. Your card draw is, of course, ridiculous, like every other person that's ever built a Selesnya deck. I would recommend including at least a little bit of black card draw, because you do have access to the colors, and they have some things that you're not going to be familiar with, known as playable spells. I do like this Stax piece. This harkens back to what we were talking about, where a Stax piece, if you're going to play it, should always asymmetrically benefit you, and Meekstone does just that. That said, I'm not sure if I can agree. I do not think I can agree to the stipulation that this is a scary deck unless you are playing it against somebody who fell out of a tree when they were quite young and has never really gotten over the injury. So if you're using this to press on that PTSD, then I'll believe it's scary. In other cases, I'm not so sure. Let's go to the playtester and see what happens. We have Meekstone, so we're keeping. We have no lands. We have a land. It's all coming together, boys. Holy shit. What a crazy 3 turns in a row. Fuck everybody's creatures. And then let's cultivate. Play card. Play card. Thank you. This has been a casting of the Cultivate spell. I don't know what that card does. So we can play Doran. Everybody on the table hates us. They've been punching us for 1 damage for the last 3 turns, and now we have a 5/5. So what can we do with the 5/5? So we get to scry 1, sure. We'll toughen up our guy a little bit. And we'll Kodama's Reach and we'll ramp more. Or we can one-sided board wipe based on Doran. Oh boy. You motherfucker, you did not just make an identify spell joke. I sure did. So I think So let's talk about Doran versus Arcades to get a good picture of why this deck is going to struggle a little bit. The thing about a creature-heavy strategy is you need to be able to refill your hand. And this deck does not appear very good at refilling its hand. I would wonder if perhaps it would be appropriate to have a little bit more self-mill, particularly in the vein of we have a couple really good recursion spells. You may be better off attempting to mesmerize people with the size of your orbs and then reanimate your creatures if you're going to do a Doran plan. Because one thing white is very good at is white is quite good at reanimating things with tiny dicks. It's kind of their whole fighting force, and so they need to be able to bring them back. And so white is very, very good at taking things with low power and bringing them back to the field. Black is very, very good at weekend at burning anybody. And, you know, green has some big hitters like 6, you know, but something like Ripples of Undeath, which I will be suggesting to every single black player, is unquestionably really good for you. And this deck looks incredibly fragile. It looks incredibly able for you to draw it in the wrong order. And right now, see this hand, we have our colors fixed, but we have truly nothing to do. This hand, I guess, we have our only win condition, and so we're going to keep it. We don't have any green, so we're going to pray to God that we draw green. We're not. That's okay. It's fine. It's fine. It's okay. There we go. What turn is it? Only turn 6. It's only turn 6. It's okay. We can play 6. And now on turn 7, I am certain that we will be able to very safely swing 6 after making him a 4/4 instead of a 2/4. And then we can mill some cards and get a land drop. Look at that. Wowza. And then we can do it again. Mill some cards, get a land drop. Isn't that just lovely? And maybe we do Kolfanor, and then we can recur things even more. I don't know. I don't know who's afraid of this. I think the people that are afraid of this deck may just have a wood allergy. But I'll tell you what you need in order to make it better. Rather than Tainted Strike, have you heard of the Fortnite Battle Bus? AKA Triumph of the Hordes, my good friend. Because if you want to threaten the whole table, then you probably want to threaten them all at once. Tainted Strike looks incredibly liable to make one person swear a vendetta against you as they clean up their cards, and to make the other two swear a vendetta against you as they sit at the table still alive. Based on your curve, the average amount of ramp in this deck, it appears relatively unlikely. That you're able to get your commander out on curve, that you're able to get your additional creatures out on curve. You, at minimum, want some things like Beast Whisperer. Oh, Battle Royale, not Battle Bus. Okay, thank you very much, Troper. You know, whenever we cast our creatures, draw a card, or even, you know, something like this is really good in Golgari, where we can get some card selection and we can choose the order that we're drawing our deck in. Because if we don't get to choose, if we leave it up to God's plan for the trees is that they turn into paper. And you are going to get your ass pressed into printer paper, and then I'm going to draw dicks on you for TikTok jokes. Is that really how you want your life to end? A lot of your ramp is also like Fangorn is frankly ridiculous as ramp. As a tree folk, sure. But I think Eudora is ridiculous as ramp. Renin 7 probably shouldn't be considered ramp. And you desperately, desperately need some things that say, God have mercy, just let me draw some cards. And so the deck is a little too scattered to really suggest the direction that you should go with it. But the overall things that are lacking is that you've said, tree folk, that's it, I'm good. And a lot of people that play Doran do that, but it really prevents you from putting a big threat onto the table because, hey, shoot Doran, and the odds are you won't draw one of these other 4. If we leave it up to God, the chances that you will draw one of these other 4 in a given game of Commander is like 5 or 6%. They do already have behind the scenes, yes. And so overall, I would start taking the cards you think have done the least, and I would subject them to the read the bones test. On average, if you see one of these cards, would you rather see that card, or would you rather see read the bones, or would you rather see pillage the bog and try to get to a different card? If we subject our next playtest to it, we're just going to keep it to prove a fucking point. So this random tree folk, we would probably rather have this be card draw. This Umbra, we would probably rather have be card draw. Or a land, or just anything. And these 3 we start to like, but because we don't have lands and because we didn't have any card draw, we never get to do anything, and we just land pass until turn 5. And on turn 6, maybe we get to begin playing Magic the Gathering. Now, if you're currently scraping through on the sympathy afforded to you by the friendly mulligan, I both understand and I pity you for not knowing the epic heights your deck can reach when it actually works. But Hector, that's going to be it for tonight. Thank you very much for submitting. I do enjoy the deck. I think you made a couple very wise choices, and then I think you made a couple other choices that said, fuck it, tree folk, as evidenced by this section. We're going to move on to Jarther's deck, which says, see mana curve, then in deck primer for details / explanation. That is a lot of words. Too bad I'm not reading them. So what's the curve? You know, that's kind of irresponsible. It is far from the least responsible thing we've seen today. I've seen some curves that truly believe Jesus himself is going to touch down and hand you 5 mana whenever you need it. And then we're still looking for Jarther, a Hobo 8 Gym, Mr. the Glove, and Josh. So Jarther, let me know when you're around so we can get started. Hobo 8 Gym, you're here. I saw the Glove in chat earlier, and saw them this past weekend, but I don't know if they're here right now. Straight chillin', awesome. And Tario, you're here as well. So looking at this curve, we're going to wait to see if Jarther is here. And if they're not, we will move on to a Hobo 8 Gym and keep it pushing. Like, because this curve, sure, it's irresponsible, but at least it still looks like a cool ski ramp. Which is much better than I can say for some of us. A lot of us have cheese wheels. So Rooms deck. We will hold off on it until we see if Jarther's here. So why aren't you reading the breakdown? If it's important, why ignore it? Well, so Alec, man, there's a certain thing that is getting more and more popular on Twitch, probably because I was the first person to do it and everyone else is beginning to catch on. But sometimes People will do things that are exaggerated or out of order in order to try to make a joke. And since this person said that the explanation for their mana curve was in the primer, but to see mana curve, then in deck primer for details explanation, I figured the point of their deck was that they wanted to see my reaction to the mana curve in absence of whatever their justification was for it. And so we'll go back and look at it if they are in fact here. But I wanted to give a genuine reaction to the mana curve before we look at whatever their defense for why the mana curve is ridiculous comes into play. And that said, better mana curve than most of you. Shoulda, take some notes. I don't know where you are in the world right now, Shoulda, but I need you to be cracking your notepad open, and I need you writing, brother. And if this is like a Marina Vendrell room deck, then this makes even more sense. But since we don't see Jarthur, we're going to move on to the next deck, and we will reschedule Jarthur for later this month. So moving on to a Hobo 8 Gyms silly deck. This deck is reversible, and if you want to play by the rules, you'll need some extra sleeves. Two-faced. Oh Christ, it's a fucking prismatic god. We've seen one gimmick. We've seen one prismatic bridge gimmick that was acceptable, and that was oops all upkeeps. So what's this one? Everything is double-sided? Let's see. All right, let's just see how that goes. Nah, oops all flips. All right. So we have some battles, which when you have flip cards, you don't get to choose which side you play, right? Like off of Sika's trigger, you don't get to go, okay, well, I'm going to play the back side rather than the front side, right? You just go to whatever the front side is. Because that is very important on whether you are cooking or cooked. No, you just get the front flips. Okay. Thank you. Thank you kindly. So we have some battles that create a treasure, discard, draw. I mean, honestly, this is not the worst battle ever. Scry 3, reveal the top card if it's a land or double-faced card. That's a little hot. Alara, which is fucked up. Fiora, which can be fucked up. And now I think we're getting a little bit to the rough stuff. This could be good if every commander table did not have their moral duty to inflict violence on planeswalkers ingrained into their bloodstream. Delver, I think, is a little bit of jokester behavior. You know, good in 60 card. I don't make decks mold, I make art. This is for sure an art project. This looks a little bit like finger painting, and I'm not sure if that's the type of art you were trying to make, but I 100% believe you that this is art. we have double prowess in a deck with only double-faced cards. Lone Rider, so a 1/1 becomes a 4/4. Jim, I'll be honest, I don't know if this is art or if it's a deck you made after you like lost a bet with a genie. This looks like a deck you made trying to get around a very specific warlock curse that was trying to stop you from playing Magic the Gathering. You were trying to prove a point to somebody about all real Magic cards having official MTG card backs, and that's what led you to to just paint this thing. How many lands plus MDFC? It looks like 45 total. So only 11 straight up lands and then 37 things. All right. So here's the thing about art project decks. I respect the effort. For me, the genius is in an art project that actually functions. There are some things where you make an art project deck and it doesn't actually play Commander, and instead you should have just had a YouTube channel. So let's go to the playtest and see if this is a Commander deck or a YouTube channel. Do we have black anywhere? No, we only have access... Okay, we have access to red and white and a color filter. Oh, now we have black. We are so back. So this is turn 2. Let's... If we flip this, is it tapped? Yeah, it is tapped. So let's flip that. Nope, that's tapped too. So let's play that and then play the Blood Feast. So we have white, red, black right now. So I think we play that. We play pay 2, then we draw a card. So that's tapped. What does this transform into? Oh, land fixing? Then yeah, we're gonna drop this for sure. I think we pay the 3. So turn 5, all we've done is flip Mystic Skull. So now our mana's fixed. Turn 6, we play this. Turn 7... So we would reveal till we hit a creature or planeswalker. We get Redain. Then we go to bottom of library. What do we use our mana on? We probably play this. We scry 3. I want to put Tamio on top. And then we probably play Tamio. And then we go to our next turn because we don't have the mana to cast. Well, we can pay for Bloodfast again. And then we can play this fucking tap land. So we're revealing till we hit a creature or planeswalker. Okay. I don't think we want to discard draw 3, do we? No, because Avabruck Caretaker is like one of the only things we care about. And then we draw for our turn, so we get another, we'll pay 3. Play Avabruck. It's turn 8, by the way. It's turn 8. We have, like, Thanos is here. The Avengers are fighting. We are watching the Infinity War saga unfold before our eyes at the average commander table. And we have a 5/6 that we will not swing on pain of death because it will fuck our mana tremendously. We have a 0/3. We have a 2/3. And now we have a 4/4. What are we cooking here, True Blue? We're cooking a gas leak. This deck is 100% a gas leak. Alright, now we've got some better lands. We have a Johnny. We do not have a white source with which to play this man. Fuck it, you ball, though. Oh, we do have a white source. Never mind. Alright, so we get a Johnny out. We can make a 2/1 cat. I think we flip this, pay, and then we Salundi Visions. Do you have any ramp in here? I'll kiss you on the mouth, dude. I swear. Hypothetical Cannon, thank you for the Twitch follow. Welcome to the doghouse, my friend. Okay, whatever. Salundi went to bottom. Who cares? We're not shuffling this deck because I don't want to touch it that much. pay 3. Actually, I'm not going to pay 3. I'm just going to do this. And we're dumping this hand because I don't think it... Hell, hey, there we go. Okay, we could have Soren Markov, who doesn't... Soren Markov with no lifelink. Valky. Maybe somebody has a good creature now. Oh, the pain. Oh, the pain. It's gonna enter as this. Oh no, we can't even do this because it enters from the graveyard. Oh my fucking god, dude. Okay, so not all art deserves to be funded, is my thing. I don't know how you all feel about it, and I guess, like, it's art if it makes you feel something, and I do feel sick. So you have moved me. You have successfully moved me, Jim. That said, 100% you were so busy wondering if you could that you did not bother to ask if you should. This deck is a Goosebumps choose your own adventure book, but they didn't write the good ending. It's not even that, JT Dig. This deck is a choose your own adventure book, but they played Mad Libs with just every person they passed on the street, and half of them have never heard of Mad Libs before. It's the... Holy God. This is very much like you sitting down at the table like, hey guys, just so you're aware, I pay for Scryfall Gold. No, I know you don't think that's a thing yet. I've spoken directly to the administrator, who assured me that I'm his sexy little PogChamp and that he loves me very much. And as long as I pay him $175 a month, I only make the best decks. The decks with cards that nobody else has ever heard of before. You think anybody else is up on Sink into Stupor? Please. You could not even begin to comprehend the levels of Magic the Gathering that I play. The amount of sorcery that resonates within my form. You don't know what's going on. I'm Banksy. I am Deadmau. I am art itself. And then you get killed by like a 3/3. I have every intention to lose this game, and God help you if you try to stop me. Yes, that's the point. A Sink into Stupor is hot as hell. Why is Sink into Stupor $8? Because it's crazy fucking good, Tara. Southpaw GG, thank you for the Prime sub. Welcome to the dog home, my friend. I appreciate those Bezos bucks. But yeah, like that is... If you were trying to prove a point that you could make a bad Asika deck without the theme explicitly being every card sucks, golf claps, everybody. Golf claps. But Arya raises the good point that if the bit of the deck quickly turns boring 5 minutes in, it's not a good bit. Not every thematic deck is good just because it has a theme. Just because you have a vision behind what you're doing does not automatically mean that that vision is enjoyable or that other people need to let you cook about it. Your vision might be Megalopolis. Your vision might be the Transformers movies. That's an example of a really good one. But the fact that we can come up with any number of wacky or kooky or silly things to do with our deck, but it's kind of like coming up with premises for YouTube videos where many of them are just a little bit cringe. And I don't think this is cringe. I just think this was like, you put some words together and were like, could I do this? And you have succeeded. Should you have done this? Absolutely no. Absolutely no, you should not have done this. But thank you very much for submitting. We are going to move on to Mr. the... I'll do it again. God damn it, Jim. We're going to move on to Mr. the Gloves deck, which is spooky. Pile of shiny cards that are... Wait for it. Or, I fucked that up. Pile of shiny cards that are legend. Wait for it. Dihada. Battlefront 2. Airy. All right, and they've asked for Caesar Mauled, so we're gonna get into the British voice. Green decks hate her, blue decks want to be her. Most players don't like her on the battlefield. Very true. Oh, heavens. Okay, everybody. Wait. Do what you must. I'm doing a couple... We need a couple starter phrases to get us into the deck. So, let's see what you've brought before us today. Ooh, $4,142. Good chap. Good chap. That is the sound of quality to my little ears. 33 lands, but who cares? We're going to mill. We're going to make treasures. We're going to make money. And that is what makes the world go around. We have some card draw planeswalkers. Only $7 though. A little bit embarrassing. Ugh. $3.50. What's wrong with you? Tags? The only tag I care about says Gucci on it. 55 Magdas, 55 treasures, 55 win lines. Oh, God. Whenever a non-artifact permanent enters the battlefield under your control, you may return another permanent you control that shares a permanent type with it to its owner's hand. Whenever another non-token legendary permanent enters the battlefield, you may pay 1. You may create a token that's a copy. Copy gains haste. Sacrifice it. And then Magda, who appears to be a somewhat poor dwarfish woman. I think these cards are too cheap for me to understand what to do with them. Cloudstone Curio, I believe in. My people have used it. This is in our version of the Smithsonian, in which we also have a number of other artifacts that we have acquired legally from various cultures around the world. But what are you stealing from the dwarves? Because I don't see a way to... Oh, there's a Relic of Legends missing from that tag. Got it. So you... Okay, you can make... Well, that card is for the poors. I don't know about the peasants. Yeah, so with this... Ugh, with another $2.50 card. Jesus. Then you make infinite mana. You get infinite treasures and artifacts, I guess. Oh, no. Oh. Oh, glove. What are you doing? Sniper inbound. This is a funny little thing. I'm sorry they aren't all foil, as you should be, dear boy. As you should be. Or are you sure? Are you sure you didn't want to make every single card be double-sided? I hear that's quite a good theme going around these days. Was it good? So Kenzin, this is trash. Replace it. Can't help but notice a distinct lack of OG duels, which is horrifying. The mana curve is wallet shaped. This is the good stuff. This is a $1,000 mana rock and then just a ton of garbage. Excellent. So we're going to ramp a lot. We're going to do something good, I presume. We're just tutoring for things. I mean, do we have... We'll have to check this in the playtest. I won't read these cards. They're not nearly expensive enough. This is a good card. This is a very good card. Can't help but notice it's not above $200, which is a little embarrassing. Also can't help but notice not even 2 figures on this card. How many printings do we have of this? Oh, really the best you can do. You don't even have an artist proof? How much does your treasure token cost? How much money have you spent on your tokens? Ugh, this just screams peasant who inherited a Mox Diamond from grandpa and then wants to pretend like they're old money when they're just new money. I own this in paper! You're one of the good ones. I see you're one of the good ones, Glove. Yes, I'm sure the absence of Darkside Extortionist was a creative decision. Was a creative decision made only to ensure the best of gameplay mechanics and not in fact because you had to tear it up in anger. The treasure tokens are just actual lost Mayan gold pieces. Let's go to the playtest and see how it goes. My biggest worry is, as with everyone who purchases a large decorative egg, is that your deck is going to revolve too much around the egg. You will be entirely focused on the orb and will just be trying to assemble a Magda win line the whole time instead of doing something that approaches interest. Alright, we have an expensive card in the open. That's good enough. Money! Money. Money. It seems we do not have any black mana. Yeah, we'll say perhaps we have 2 treasures. Since Magda's been around for 2 turns, let's get Dihada out. And then... Well, we don't want Vigilance on Magda because we want them tapped. So we'll say we took 3. 3, 4. We get 1 to hand. And make 4 treasures. And then we flicker Dihada. We do it again. We now have, well, we replaced the 2 treasures, and now we have lots of expensive things in our hand. Play that for turn. We have Deadly Rollick. I guess we +2 something to get Dihada back up to 4. But we Lotus Petal. We Ratadrabic. Or we probably Soren, uptick, gain some life, flip the bastard. And then try to +2 a little. And what do we do from here? So we Wishclaw Talisman. Alright. My fears about this being new money instead of old money are beginning to feel a little bit more founded. I'm not certain... Oh, my bad, chap. We go infinite and we win. That's my fault. We have infinite zombies. I missed Tale as Old as Time, the Orzhov, Rich People, Win Condition, Pip Pip Cheerio. Go about your business, buy me efficient chips on your way out of the lorry or the boot or whatever. I'm watching this while sleeving up an entire deck that costs $24 without counting the basics. Well, memo, maybe if you watch this, one day you too will be a good person. As we all know, capitalism is a strict meritocracy. This is not expensive enough. There we go. Are we just totally fucked? Are we just totally fucked with this in the graveyard? Let's see. We can play... Oh, we have Savines in the deck. Alright. So we can play Radajabui. Radajabadadabadu. Surely we win. Hold on. This is going to be a very skill-intensive resolution, so everyone please be patient. It's not even going. There we go. All right. Almost there. Surely you win. Surely we win now. We have Lotus Petal. We have... Look at that. We have Chrome Mox. I mean, I really think this seems like a deck that has more of... These seem like the entourage and not the ops. These seem like they're just here to catch the leavings of the really good 2-card combos. Domain expansion, go next. Oh, you peasants are so creative. A plus B equals dubs. Beautiful. I do like this meme. I do like the reference to this meme. So maybe let's look at how high quality your hangers on are. I guess Lathiel is okay. The quality, I mean, the effects are good, but these really do seem quite cheap cards. Where are you getting away? Where are you getting away with having a respectable deck with cards that are under $1, hmm? I do truly not understand how this is $4,000. I think the most expensive thing we've seen is like right, there's the $1,000 Mox Diamond. That will do quite a bit of it. How long did it take you to own all of this in paper? And how long will you cry if Mox Diamond is ever banned? I don't think they'll do it. But if they did, how many tears? Oh, since Dihada came out. That makes sense. This is a small Honda Civic that you are driving through your local table. And I will say with every deck, and I will actually turn Arizona into Florida if it gets banned. Every deck you send, that Blim deck from Mrs. the Glove makes a little bit more sense. Because if this is what I was playing against, I would break bad. I would break bad immediately. I would never let you do anything. I would be a Stax player if I was playing against 55 Magdas and their little golden goose eggs, I swear. I do think it's unfortunately well built. Land base is relatively good. And I think honestly, as long as we get Dihada out, it has to work, right? Oh, Jesus. Okay. Sure. Sure. And then we do this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do we have to put? I think we just want 4 treasures, right? I think we just take 4 treasures because we have Radadabadooey and we have 2 tutors. And we assemble domain expansion, go next on turn 5, and we kill everybody. That's horrifying. I would say this is probably on the line of scary. It has 1 or 2 things that, like, it's definitely on the line between spooky and scary, because there are a couple creatures, they must be stopped. They are heading to the harbor to throw all of our tea in it, and we must stop them, and we must kill them, and they must be brought to justice. And then there are a lot of creatures, like Lotho, who don't fucking matter, who can be considered an ignoble rabble-rouser in the middle of the street. Heart of Kirin, I believe you think this looks cool. If I'm being perfectly honest, I can't think of a single purpose this card serves other than if you got to design a spaceship, this is what it would look like. Heart is so good though. You may remove a loyalty counter from a planeswalker you control rather than pay Heart of Kirin's crew cost. I see that bottom text, and the bottom text I'm more concerned with is it being $1. You can kill Dihada yourself to replay to mill. Are your games lasting so long that it's better than another flicker card? This card is their dog Fitzgerald. Yeah, this seems like there are no other flickers. There's nothing else that can hit it. Nothing that brings it back before end step where it's pointless. That makes a little bit more sense then. Truly you are evil. Truly you are evil though. I think Ephemerate's creatures only, Toran, and my memory may be failing me. But I believe that Ephemerate's creatures only. Michael Anderson, thank you for becoming a member of the Dog Home on YouTube. I appreciate your generosity. Abdel is probably possible. But then we have to be able to... Then we have to be able to let him die. I do think this works for what it is. I do think, in the specific context of, I did not realize how dark and twisted your soul was, that you are just doing turbo combo, fuck it, I'll spend 6 mana to replay Dahada to mill again, because I hate those around me. In that context, sure, you can have your little British Terrier. I do hate Kaya. I do just hate Planeswalkers. This makes an unfortunate amount of sense. This also makes an unfortunate amount of sense. I do question Rosie because she's a little bit poor. You should have learned how dark and twisted I was when we played together. I enjoyed playing with you. You're one of the few people who gets the team your past. You were very, very reasonable with your triggers. No, again, Lae'zel's acrobatics is creatures, which we don't care as much about. I'm not sure how to fix this because this is really a painting of what's wrong with you as a person. The fact that we have a 3-card win condition, a 2-card, 3-card win condition, another 4-card win condition, and also sometimes my dragon has big shitties, is just the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde energy there. Oh, I have a Magda Cloudstone Curio Infinite. Also, Clifford the Big Red Dragon Lord ate some Taco Bell and it's not sitting with him well. Oh, Felidar Guardian. Yeah, Felidar isn't legendary, so wouldn't play the nicest with the rest. That does make sense. Yeah, I think all things considered, Heart of Kiran is the most reasonable that you could be going for. I do like that. I do admire the dedication necessary to acquire $4,000 worth of evil cardboard like this. The Sorin combo is especially hateful. This is my favorite one, just because I'm a little dipshit, and I love punching people in the face for $1 million. Mauled, what did I walk into? We're walking into somebody who has painted a sort of cave drawing of bludgeoning a man to death with a brand new Birkin bag. Because, yeah, you hit, flip, hit again. That is quite cute. Then Angel Mommy, of course. Just regular Mommy. Also, of course, Vampire Mommy. I'm kind of noticing a sub-theme. I do question the +1/+1 counters a little bit. I don't think it's bad. I think it's good that you have a way to get onboard damage, but I do think it's again funny. It's like Pyrrha the Volatile, where the range of what we're doing is 55 Magdas kill you immediately, or Hey, I've got a 5/5 with lifelink and indestructible. But thank you very much for showing us this. I'll put the link in chat for anyone who wants to admire the depth of Mr. the Glove's poor financial decisions. And then we're going to move on to Intario's deck. Huh? I hope you enjoyed it, the Glove. It was great to meet and play with you and your wife at the convention. And hopefully I will see you guys again at some point in the future. Or at least more of the twisted envisionings of your mind. For now, we will be moving on to Ontario's Mientras tanto, los magos del tiempo. Create problems for the table. Avoid consequences. Ideally, I'm trying to develop a wide board state with Kiki-Jiki clones and use them and their associated value to beat faces. So we have Obeka, which is the player whose turn it is can end the turn. Honestly, a famously way too narrow commander because they only printed like 2 good things that you can do with ending the turn early. And that is making tokens that you would typically have to sacrifice at end of turn and stealing things that you would normally have to give back at end of turn. So we have until end of turn clones. A lot of removal. Oh my god, what happened to you? This one at least works with the deck. And stealing doesn't even work? Okay, then we really just have things that make tokens you shouldn't get to keep. I like Identity Thief. This one's pretty cute. You can exile another creature, and then you return the exiled card. So repeatable targeted exile removal is pretty sick. This is a funny counter spell. Counter target spell unless its controller discards his or her hand. I might have to start running that myself because that seems pretty fucking fair. Hey, how bad do you want it? That's all I'm saying. How bad do you want it? How bad do you want that commander? Come on. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? You can play it. You can play it, dude. And then just so much mean shit. Stealing. So it looks like a little bit of theft does work. Card draw, all of which is pretty expensive, but it at least works. I like Undia's Unbound. This is a little bit crafty. Cut list. Okay. So Magus of the Mirror, I don't know what the fuck is going on with Magus of the Mirror, but Isochron Scepter, Deceiver Exarch, and Pestermite all make sense to me. In the primer, it says I want to downgrade the power and drop the untap combos and focus on clones that don't go infinite with a ham sandwich. The current power level is spooky and scary. And I think it's reasonable that you fell into this trap. For the most part, the deck looks pretty good. But these two untappers scream to me, you were staring at the goblin a little too lovingly and licking your lips a little too angrily. I have no clue what you were using Isochron Scepter for. As far as I'm concerned, I'm Joseph Quinn, you're Dexter. You did this in self-defense. I'm not going to ask any questions about it so long as I never have to see it again. You feel me? Given stuff haste is very excellent. High risk extra turns. Yeah. Yeah, high risk. High risk. Plenty of ramp. Goryo's Vengeance is hot. Psychosis Crawler's hot. This deck fails to function without the commander, so I brought a spare. Yeah, my number one thing is, one of the many analogies I like to use for a deck is you're building a car that you're going to race against other people in a type of Mario Kart thing. And you need to build an engine, which is your until end of turn clones. You need to build wheels that keep the deck spinning, like card draw, like ramp. You need to be able to steer the game with like removal. But the most important thing about any car is headlights that flip out into cool little machine guns and shoot everybody to death. And right now, the thing that's missing that we probably want to replace the cut list with is stuff to cheat in or copy over and over and over that will contribute to actually winning the game. Like, that's the number one thing that is missing to me. Is the number one issue I've found with this deck is that it doesn't really do anything without the commander or until after turn 5. Yeah, because it does. I think what this deck needs is 5 to 10 incredible fatties that you want to copy with the until end of turn clones. So that when you have the commander, you become increasingly problematic over time. Coop Dog, thank you for the Twitch follow. Welcome to the doghouse, my friend. Lord Xander is an option, but we probably don't want them to be legendary because we have we can't really copy our legendaries all that well. Myriad could be a thing for this. We would want to go to like... So let me talk to you about this. Let me talk to you about copying the bimbofication dragon over and over and over. Because if we want people to fear us, we want to be building an engine that gets us to a place where we can gun them all down. And if we need to fill our deck with all of this interaction, then we want to be filling it with theft engines. You either need to cut down the interaction and trade it for a more proactive game plan of your own, or that proactive game plan needs to be, that's mine now. That's mine now. Hey, that's mine now. Hey. And then you can still have a ton of interaction. Otherwise, you probably want to look for... Like, if you want to depower it, this is a really good creature that would enable you to have some inevitability and would create a problem that your table was forced to answer without requiring that they answer it immediately. Because if you drop this and you start flopping him on the table and swinging him over and over and over, you're going to have a lot of damage to spread around, especially as you start doing it with like Kiki Jiki, as you start doing it with Jaxus, if you do it with Flame Show to Conjuring. Anybody you use on this thing, it's going to be really, really strong. And in the same vein, you can use any of the new overlords. Like, this isn't bad. It's not the best for your deck because a lot of your things are non-creatures, but it would get Jaxus, Kiki, or Riona. Getting Boiler Bilges would be really good because dealing 4 to any target is also useful. Flood Pits would also give you some card advantage. And so that's what I would do is you have all of these things that revolve around how do I get the copying to start happening, and I don't see any sections that are dedicated to this is the thing that I want to copy. This is the one thing that I want to be, well, not the one thing, but this is the section of things that I want to be playing over and over and over again until my opponents die painfully. Terror of the Peaks. Terror of the Peaks could be pretty good. This is one where it would be... Oh, Jesus. This might get us back up to scary. If we try to depower it, we're like, oh, no, 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 no. This Kiki Jiki stuff, we can't do this. That's going to be a little too spooky. What if you took 15 right now, and then it became 20, and then it became 25? But this is good for the same reason that Overlord of the Boiler Villages is good, or the same reason that Inferno Dragon is good. A really underrated thing at a casual table is the ability to just pressure life totals consistently. There's a lot of decks that do a very bad job of winning in any way other than completely, and I think that this deck is probably suffering from that right now. So let's go ahead and do a little bit of play testing. Your curve is also pretty creative. I think this play test is going to be single-handedly saved by Phyrexian Arena, because drawing 2 cards every turn is like, you know, do whatever. We don't want to dump our hand right now. We probably want to play Zara and hope that no one kills her. We could factor Fiction for some advantage. Okay, so it's probably Kiki Jiki or literally everything else. And we're going to take Kiki Jiki. I'd play Obeka ASAP. The thing about playing Obeka ASAP is that I don't think it... Like, we play Obeka ASAP, and we still don't really have a lot to do. Like, it's turn 6. Everyone else has stuff to do. We're probably just going to make enemies if we do a lot of stuff with Zara right now. And if we play Kiki, we have nothing to copy. We do have the, like, win the game combo. But I think even, like, Urabrask probably isn't good enough. I think if we had an Overlord in hand right now, we would feel way better. If we had a dragon to copy, if we had a card advantage thing to copy, if we had mill for more creatures to copy, that would feel pretty good. Otherwise, we just windfall, or we interact and say, well, I hope to God they don't interact back. But if we start again and we don't get Phyrexian Arena, let's see how that playtest goes. Or, well, we don't have to pay life for that. Alright, so we Obeka. We Psychic Vortex. Boom! We've cheated. We've done a cumulative upkeep. Somebody's killed Obeka because they're mad at us. Boom! We've cheated. And now we have, let's scry 1. So now it's turn 6. We can steal something with Puppeteer Click and then Sundial, but if they don't have anything great to steal, we're kind of left out to dry. And even though we're drawing 1,000,000 cards off of cheating with Psychic Vortex, Still, the best thing we can do is Urabrask the Hidden, and the best thing that does is get us out Obeka. Yeah, so I would go, I think, like, we go back to square zero of, if you aren't sure what to do with the deck, you ask yourself, how do I win at Magic the Gathering? And the way you win at Magic the Gathering is I make a wide board state with Kiki-Jiki clones and use them and their associated value to beat faces. And I think where that breaks down for you right now is that the things you can clone are conditional to be good, or frankly not that good in the first place. I think Avaricious Dragon is good when you have your commander out and pretty underwhelming otherwise. I think Sin Prodder is like, okay, it's card draw, so you do need it, but for sure these four go out. I think Urabrask the Hidden could go out, and unless this is a specific meta call, I would also cut Puppeteer Click. I think Sneak Attack stays, but we want better things to Sneak Attack. So I would make those 6 cuts. I don't think Psychosis Crawler is that good for you. I think that it's nice. I think that you would have more fun if this was a big stinky dragon. Although actually, no, I take that back. With copying, this is one of the big stinky copiers. So I retract that. I think this could be one of your things where if you make like 3 to 5 copies of Psychosis Crawler, sure, you fuck everybody up. I actually do believe that. But I would make those other 6 cuts, and then I don't like Mishra Eminent One if you don't have artifacts with ETB triggers. Because if you don't have an artifact that has a meaningful ETB trigger, all this says is every combat make a 4/4, and that is like par. That is par for the course, and we want everything we do to be above par. It needs to be better than I'm going to make a tremendously fair Magic the Gathering creature. We need to be copying our tremendously unfair Magic the Gathering creatures like Overlord of the Flood Pits. So I would cut this as well, and I would reorient it around what creatures, if I copy them, are going to win me the game, or at least let me pressure the fuck out of life totals. We could also do something like Dire Fleet Ravager. Oh yeah, you could do this. It's a little bit expensive, and it gets worse and worse the more you use it, but it does bring life totals down. So I would say this is like the floor. This is the worst level of effect you want, where you are guaranteed going to get value. You're just not guaranteed going to get value that wins you the game. But if you combine this with things like the Overlords, the more you use it, the more 4/4 menace matters. That's a very good point, Stick. The more copies you make of this, the more problematic a 4/4 with Death Touch is. I also do think your card draw is probably too dependent on your commander. Maybe not. I would probably want like 1 or 2 more things that could draw me cards that didn't rely on me being able to end the turn early. That guy 2232641, thank you very much for the Twitch follow, and Threadbare Goblin, thank you very much for the Twitch follows. Welcome to the doghouse, my friends. I'm sure you get asked this all the time, but how do I get my deck in on this? It is a Patreon redeem, Cody. I am sorry, but it is not for free. It is part of the $25 tier and is booked up for this month, but an announcement for next month's signups will be going out soon. Dropped Redux, thank you for the Twitch follow. Welcome to the doghouse, my friend. Scrawling Crawler. Oh, we got that Nunu from Foundations. No, this is some sick group hug stuff. But Obeka is already having to work hard enough that we don't want group hug stuff. You can also get really, really weird with the stuff you copy. Like, if you want to lean in on copies, you could even do kind of like a bad version of New Obeka, where you focus a lot on copying things that let you take the initiative. But really, I would look for anything that has an ETB trigger, anything that has a combat damage trigger, or really anything that has any type of trigger where you think, oh, if I could copy this, this would probably win me the game at some point. And right now, we only have like one thing that does it, which is Psychosis Crawler. But I think that's going to be it for this deck roast. Thank you very much for submitting it. And I think you're close to something hot. But I think you got a little bit too distracted by how thick Kiki Jiki is. Oh, Hideous Taskmaster would be a bomb. No, this is a cast trigger, not a copy trigger. So this would be a bomb, but it would be a bomb that's totally agnostic of our commander, because we would not re-get the cast trigger every single time. And then Requiem, I do think we are going to have to reschedule you perhaps to Saturday, because I can feel my brain sliding out from my eyeballs, and I want to make sure I give you a good roast rather than an off-the-fly bad one. I think my reasoning for the Kiki combos was that each card individually works in the deck with the untappers as protection for the Obeka activation. It does make sense, Intario. I don't think you fell victim to, I put this infinite in just to have an infinite, but sometimes we do need to very explicitly walk ourselves back from having really good combos like that, because they create an experience we don't overall want, even if all the ingredients are fine on their own. Like, you can think about that with food too. There are plenty of dishes where individual ingredients might combine with each other in an A plus B or an A plus C way, and then the entire dish is some sort of like fucked up maniacal casserole, you know, that includes like rice and also beans, but then also sweet pudding, and then also beef, and then also garlic butter because of the beef. Like, you can sort of chain together these terrible Frankenstein's monster-esque amalgamations of combos that fuck up the whole experience, even if one at a time the cards are fine. Threadbare Goblin, thank you for the 1,000-bit cheer. Welcome to Dog Heaven, my friend. I've enjoyed your content for a while on YouTube. Have some bits, my man, who loves to touch cards and maybe even other commanders. It is my favorite thing in the whole world. So yeah, Ontario, I think to power this down, you replace the infinite stuff and the infinite support with what's a big fucking honker, where if I copy it, you die. And that's where we're going to leave it for this stream. Requiem, I'll reach out to you to make sure we get you rescheduled, and I'm sorry we could not fit you on the schedule tonight. I will be live again tomorrow, and it'll be a variety day. I'm not sure what it's going to be yet. So make sure to follow on Twitch if you don't already. We're going to go ahead and look for one of our friends to raid. We're going to raid our friend Tappy Toe Claws, who looks like they're playing a new card game. Raid message is going to be, which card is Terror of the Peaks? So everyone, be nice, be normal, stay toxic in a good way, and I will see you all tomorrow. Thank you all for watching, subscribing, and generally putting up with my stupid ass.